Good day. Welcome to Cogitations, and I'd just like to continue to give a little bit of background for for these podcasts, right? As I share, some of the thoughts that I have, and some of these are things that I would have learned. All right. Some of them quite recently as I continue, my own personal journey of discovery. Now, I would have gone to these schools that you all went to, the same churches, and had interactions, and one point faith in the same political system and same financial system, all that stuff, right? And for me, this sharing is about some of the discoveries that I've made, that I've learned, that were lies, right? And so it's not a critique on any individual. This is actually me critiquing myself, right? The way that I thought about things, and my path to growth in discovering that those things were false, based on vetting them for myself. All our interactions, all our if you I know sometimes conditioning is a strong term and carries some kind of negative connotations, but it's an accurate way to describe the way we advance into adulthood, right? All the way from the first time we enter organized learning, right, which is our current education system, right, all the way until we reach what is considered the pinnacle, right? Either getting that dream job or creating one for yourself, right? So that is during that period we are being literally conditioned. Now, most of us, we consider ourselves having the capacity to think and to reason and to make our own decisions, develop our own ideas, and it does not take much for us to discover that a lot of these decisions, a lot of the ideas, a lot of the concepts that we have, they are not our own, right? They are in fact borrowed, and we become comfortable with them through, more times than not, consensus, right? The consensus would take different forms, because you have, let's say we have a particular idea or concept, and you have a group of persons who are right of that idea, a group of persons who would be left of the idea. I'm not talking about ideological left or political left. I'm talking about, just for the sake of this discussion, left, right? Geographic, left, right. And you're going to have a smaller group that is in the middle, right? You have another group, of course, which is those who don't care. They have no really opinions. They just kind of, waltzing through life. The happiest people that you would meet don't have a clue what is going on, right? But we're not talking about that group, right? We're talking about those who actually, what we would consider to think through stuff, right? And the persons on the right and left would make up, as I said, the large portions, right? But these again are mainly handled. They would have, huge consensus, right of the matter, left of the matter. Those who are in the middle is a very small group, right? A small group because not because I said they don't care, but because at times they would agree with those on the right of the matter. Sometimes they would agree with those on the left of the matter, not to become part of that group that is left or part of the group that is right, but because based on their assessment, based on their independent view on the particular issue, they make their determination based on their values. Now, I've found myself in that group in the middle. And I said, not that you are sitting on the fence that I just described. You're actually making determinations. You're making judgments on the issues that you're very well aware of, but you aren't tied to one of these large groups, right? And now the thing about the society that we live in is that this is the way that most people that we are manipulated, because as I said, as human beings we are consensus driven. Those who hang to either side, they will justify their choice to be on that side based on a set of values, right? Most of the times, if you ask them, they've not vetted those values themselves, but they feel comfortable with the people who are on the side that they are on, and that is why they stay there, right? I did a post recently just to get some feedback on it, and it had to do with it was a graphic of two lines, an A and a B line, one blue, one red, and asking, which line was longer. Of course, some would say A, some would say B, some would say the blue, some would say the red. Now, because I was the one that drew the lines, I knew that the lines were equal, right? So there was no difference in the length of the lines. Now, persons went ahead and made a determination on the length of the lines, or which line was longer, obviously without measuring the line. And one of the things that this again proved, the exercise proved, is that we are comfortable to make decisions and judgments without going through any type of a process, right? In this case, the lines, of course, are graphic on the screen. To come to the right answer, or to get an answer, we must all first be willing to admit that we do have a level of ignorance. We don't know, right? And ignorance simply means you don't know. Sometimes the word is used, and again bears some heavy connotations, but simply ignorance just means you don't know. And for us to acquire knowledge, we must come to the reality, the realization that we don't know. We are all ignorant of something or the other, right? Until we become knowledgeable about it. And that in that scenario with the lines, it was clear how, we as human beings are willing to commit to giving an answer without doing the investigation. Again, if we are to come to a right answer, we must be willing to investigate. And investigation is a process by asking yourself questions, right? Now, the question that you got was which line was longer. And in order to come to the right answer, that question had to be adjusted, right? Because what we wanted to know is how long the lines are. So instead of asking a question, which again, me knowing the lines were the same length, the question was a loaded question that gave the impression that the lines were different length. But of course, somebody who doesn't know that, not knowing the lines, what would resolve that issue is knowing how long each line was, right? And of course, that would take specific tools in order to come to that realization. Other times, what makes us comfortable with the answers that we come up with is the people who agree with us, right? Where we find consensus. And if we were to do that same exercise with the lines, if we were to do that in our life, there would be added pressure or stimuli, because you would be seeing persons answering A or the blue. And as that becomes visible, right? If you see someone who pops up answers A, who you believe is intelligent or who believe has some insight into these lines, maybe, you would be tempted to go along with agreeing with the answer that they put. And again, that is one of the things that, again, as human beings, we recognize how easily manipulated we are. So if, like, starting in that same scenario, someone who knows the truth about the line, like myself, and is able to then put the question out that leads your mind to think about something that isn't true, right? Again, in this case, by suggesting that the lines are different length, right? So now you're already thrown off. And again, as it begins to unravel, you end up further away from the truth than you would had you, gone about it by acknowledging you don't know the length of the lines, and then finding a path, or finding a strategy, finding the tools to work out the length of the lines, right? So as I said, this is going to be keep it short, and we're gonna try to I am going to be sharing some of my strategies, some of the things that I've learned, and again, coming from where I came from, would be the same way that everybody taught, because again, a lot of the ideas and stuff that was passed on to us, it wasn't that they were passed on by persons who were trying to deceive us. They were passed on to us by our parents, by our teachers, or religious leaders and so on, that they themselves were deceived, and they, in their effort trying to help us or trying to teach us, passed on deceptions to us. Now again, there are some who fully well pass on deceptions, we know that, but again, most of the times when we are set on a path, it's by those who themselves are deceived, and by taking their information, we also ourselves end up deceived, right? So again, this is going to be an encouragement to do your own vetting, develop your own framework for evaluating truth, and to continue to investigate. All right, so remember, this is not for likes, shares, follows, subscription, that type of stuff. My encouragement is to think. So continue to take care of yourselves and each other, and until next time, you are willing. Be blessed.